Yeah, we'll start with the roadmap roundup. I'm going to turn off the alert sounds, okay? And here it is. Every 2 weeks, roadmap. Okay, so release view changes. Replication layer update. This is kind of a big deal. This was planned to be in 322.x. Testing continues for this important update to the persistent universe's backend database. This release will remain fluid in regards to timing as edge cases are solved and performance is optimized. If anybody did the replication layer test recently, thinking this was going to be in 322, I think would have been a bit of a surprise. And yeah, because it 5 minutes to wait for a server to restart. Obviously not good. They did say there was logging in there, of course. But even if they cut it down in half, 2 minutes is still a very long time, right? You would want a more smooth experience if possible. So they moved it to 323. And I think we'll know when 323 is towards the end of this, apparently. But keep an eye on Spectrum and the Tech Preview channel for the latest replication layer test. There is one going on right now. So after we go through this in the monthly report, we will we'll be checking that out. So targeting release in 322. We did a little test of this for the... Here, actually, let's go here and change the title. Roadmap Roundup. Bam. Gravlev Racing. And 5 maps for it. So you could do the Snake Pit in reverse, Clio Islands, which is the best, River's Edge, and Shifting Sands are all pretty fun. Clio Islands is really cool. I played that a lot yesterday and really enjoyed it. And then these are, so this is the only 322 ad, I believe. And then you have 323, which is pretty wild. So we got Star Map rework, which I think we all heard on SCL, which is pretty exciting. Mobiglass rework. I don't believe we heard that, but I think a lot of people expected it to have to be a thing. This is the entire Mobiglass system, not Squadron 42, Persistent Universe Mobiglass, being transferred over to the building block system, which now allows for easier development on Mobiglass apps. And this update includes reworked home maps, Star Map, Contract Manager, and Journal apps. Very excited to see what this means. So, you know, one of the top changes here is this one right here. FPS map system. We obviously knew that was coming. We've seen so much of this since CitizenCon. Not much to add here. Really, really good. Personal and instanced hangars. Again, the least surprising thing to make it into this patch, I think, was this, as they've been talking about it since, I think, 2019, 2020-ish, somewhere around there. So this has very much been in the design phase and a big part of the process over the last few years, along with freight elevators. The thing I want to talk a lot about is item bank and unique item recovery, okay? Item bank kiosks, allowing players to retrieve and store FPS items at multiple locations. Totally fine, okay? It's essentially physicalizing the magical inventory that we have, I think, a little bit more. But this addition will also allow players to retrieve lost account-bound items. Account-bound items are either event items like the Vandal Mask or items that you purchased for real money. So things that should be a little bit more rare. Now, it's a weird situation because subscriber flare items do end up in the general loot table. They're rare, but they end up on the loot table. So they aren't just found on the website. So they're not super unique to that. But I just have a big... This is my only gripe, I believe, in the entire roadmap update, is this tiny little one sentence. It's duping. So CIG... So my hope here, my one and only hope, is that somebody from CIG comes out and says, this is temporary. This is not the final solution, which, with most things, Obviously, that's the case. But please calm my nerves on this one, because this is stupid. Whether it, like I see Void Dude say in chat, this needs to be a money sink. Whether it's a money sink or not, it cannot be a thing where a super unique item that I earned at an event can be duplicated. Okay? We can't do that. We cannot do that. That cannot be a thing. Right? Because what's the point of having that item rare in the loot table if it's not rare in my loot table that I can create? So regardless of how much money it costs, it's about the rarity of the item, right? That's the issue here. The account bound stuff, it's very weird, right? This is such a weird situation with the way the game is funded. Should you lose items that you paid real money for? I am never going to sit here and say yes to that answer. I'm never going to sit here and say yes to that answer. That would be crazy. I think it's also illegal. Okay? I think it's also illegal in some countries. That would be dumb, right? But the issue here is specifically this, and let me bring this up if I can. I will open up my hanger for you guys, if possible. I might have to zoom out a little bit so I can see my account here. So my hanger consists of things like subscriber items. Should I lose some of these things? Even Luminalia rewards, right? It's such a weird way to deal with things, because here's the deal. This is the perfect example, okay? The Devastator Whirlwind Shotgun. Why is it called the Whirlwind Shotgun? This is also an individual item separate from every other Devastator shotgun that exists. It is the Devastator Whirlwind Shotgun because it only includes the blue version of the gun. Instead of, whenever I get the Devastator shotgun, please apply the Whirlwind paint to it or something like that, right? Like if I pick it up, it should just automatically change, like something should happen, or, you know, a light comes out of my suit and it paints the gun. I don't know, but the idea of choosing to go with every item is unique from one another version of it right here, right, is the Permafrost Scalpel Sniper Rifle. This is insane. Okay? This is insane. Yeah, just add it to the J menu. I press J, I apply a paint, and I am done, right? And those paints persist all the time. They are an account-bound item. My assumption here is 100% that... Oh, why are we doing this? Shouldn't this go to a different tab? I guess not. Oh, because I'm not on... Fair enough. So, anyway, that's sort of how they do things now. So, given that they do things now in the worst way possible, because that is actually, I cannot think of a worse way to deal with cosmetics in a video game than having the individual item be the cosmetic, right? There are some, for example, the Vandal Mask or the, the helmet that looks like a Spartan helmet, kind of like, like there's some items that should be unique, but there were also 3 different paints for those. Kaduli or whatever, like those should be the Kaduli helmet, and that you should be able to apply each paint based off of the subscriber level that you purchased at or whatever, right? So the choice that's being made here is incredibly silly. So if you lose those items, like this is where it gets really weird, right? If I lose that Kaduli helmet, which is a unique item, or if I lose my Vandal mask, which is a unique item, what do we do? Right? This is such a complicated situation that they've created for themselves because they made these items account bound. We've had this discussion many times. Like the Vandal mask potentially should be the option to transmog things. You know what I mean? That, like, people have discussed that. That's an option. But for me, the choice that they've gone down with a lot of the things, and specifically with paints, that's weird. Until account reset. We're talking about if the game ever releases, guys, because that's important. We shouldn't be sitting here talking about the game in this way in the current state. Because again, I wanted to say, if this is a temporary solution for the current time, I have no issue with it at all. Who cares? But if this is the permanent solution for when the game goes live, we're duping, guys. We're duping items that could be of value. And let's ignore buying things on the website, and let's talk about the Luminalia rewards. Event rewards in MMOs are some of the coolest things in MMOs, okay? Because you had to be there. You had to be there at that time, and that item never exists again if you weren't there. And it's what creates rarity and what creates like history in video games, right? And I've experienced this in other video games, and I find it to be incredibly cool that they're like, I always go back to Ultima Online. There was an event where orcs destroyed a city, and there was blocks of the city. There was like the sandstone blocks that were left of the city. That was the event item. Those items never existed in the entire game's 20-year history outside of that event. The people that had that had something extremely unique and extremely cool. And if they didn't want it anymore, they sold it at a really high price to somebody who did. And I found that to be really cool, right? That was one of my favorite things about MMOs. This, because you're going to be able to get anything back that's account bound, the choosing the account bound thing for the in-game items seems like it was a choice at the time to deal with a problem that they didn't have a solution for. Like the ability for a mission to deliver you a reward to the player, right? It always had to be done through the website and all this, like, you know, these loop-de-loops because the game engine or whatever doesn't do it. Kind of crazy, kind of silly, kind of weird. Just wanted to point that out. Hopefully this is temporary. Hopefully the entire item system is temporary, because it's absolutely the worst possible way to deal with cosmetics that I've ever seen in any video game in my entire life. Just wanted to point that out there and put that out there because the ability to abuse this is crazy. Does anybody care if everybody's running around in gold armor in the alpha? No, nobody cares. I don't care. You shouldn't care. Exclusivity in the game's current state is stupid. The ability to use the things that you purchased in the game's current state is not stupid. Okay? So hopefully this is a temporary thing. I'm assuming it is, but I still want to talk about the absolute silliness that the current system is, that absolutely needs to change. Should be a priority because it's a financial priority. And CIG has shown that financial priority is above everything, except for in a situation like this. It's kind of silly. What's up, Ollie, by the way? Freight elevators. The last we saw of freight elevators, 96 SCU, or 960 SCU, and can carry vehicles and stuff like that. And this is how we're going to be interacting with all the new cargo system. Very cool. Very excited for it. Yeah. And then new missions, cargo hauling. Probably my biggest surprise. I wasn't expecting to see cargo hauling missions in 323. I thought we were going to get freight elevators, deal with all the problems, edge cases, and issues with those, and then get cargo hauling. So it's all coming in, and it's coming in hot, and I'm excited for it. Dynamic crosshair, combat helmets only. I talked about how I feel about these. Not a huge fan of having the crosshair on the screen, but I'll reserve my opinions until I try it, but definitely have concerns there. We saw EVA Tier 2 on ISC last week. FPS loot screen was communicated on SCL last week. That will be a thing. So they took the CitizenCon loot screen and applied it to the PU, and we're there, which is cool. New character customizer, we already know mostly about that. Visor lens HUD rework, we know a lot about that from CitizenCon. Distribution centers is, again, one of the surprises for me from Star Citizen Live that they're going to be there. But I think that this is going to come in a very limited state, the way they explained it. Not all of it will be traversable, and it sounds like very basic missions will be there. So just large underground bunkers with NPCs that don't spawn correctly, probably. Dynamic event, Blockade Runner. We have a description of it, so I have not read this yet. Let me check it out. Introducing a new dynamic event that involves a criminal faction, the Ninetales, locking down LEO, L1, and L2 rest stops, okay? Players must run the blockade and purchase and sell a percentage of Quantanium before time runs out. Okay. I don't know. Interesting or not? Excited or not, guys? I'm not sure how I feel about this one yet. Maybe we need an ISC to show it a little bit more, but I don't know. It doesn't look very exciting so far. This one is incredibly exciting. This is the first step to, like, the video game. So this is amazing to see. Reputation hostility. Adding a new feature to the reputation system where players will encounter AI that are either friendly or hostile based on their reputation with that organization, the AI that the AI belong to. This also includes different friendly fire thresholds and defense responses. Love this. Love this. So the Ninetales always attack you now. They might not attack you in the future if you're doing maybe like Vaughn missions. I don't know. And Crusader Security maybe lets you go if you have some drugs on your ship. I don't know how this will work. This will be interesting. But friendly fire, maybe you can accidentally hit. Oh, maybe you can accidentally kill a guard at a Crusader Security mission and not be penalized for it. That would be cool, right? I think that's probably where the limit of this will be, because there's always the whoopsie moment down at the bunker sometimes, and then they no longer really need to put the triangles over the heads of the guards, except for the initial experience, the initial missions, maybe. Yeah, so that would be cool. Player interaction experience, we know everything about, really, already. They did a big part of the ISC on that. And then Master Modes is coming in hot, and, it's going to iterate throughout the entire process. So I don't think there's any reason to get super mad about this or super happy about this. It's just, it needs to happen, I feel like, maybe. And the game is going to suffer probably for a while for it from a flight standpoint, but be better for it in the long run. And it's just one of those things we're going to have to deal with, I think. But yeah, biggest surprises for me, new missions cargo hauling. The item recovery is not a surprise, but again, doing it in this way, very silly. And then, Moby Glass rework. So 323 is looking pretty excited. Pretty exciting. Somewhere it said 323 in April, I guess on the actual roadmap, maybe, in release view, is my guess. I saw people saying April. That was my guess for it, because it's so big. It just says tentative Q2 2024, which I think is where people were kind of losing their mind about it, because this is the Q1 patch. Go back. Is it up at the top? No. Start of 323. Okay. I don't see it. I'm just going to type April. There it is. Ah, okay. I'm blind. Sorry, guys. Currently targeting April 2024 release. So it'll be in June. So it'll be in June. And thoughts on that, guys? I mean, honest thoughts on that. Do we care if we get 3 patches this year if this is one of them? Do we care if we get 3 patches a year if this is how it is? I'm okay with that. Do we have to have a quarterly patch every single patch? From a content creator standpoint, I don't know what I'm going to do until April. It's going to be really boring from a Star Citizen perspective. I'm just going to go play other games. That's what I've been doing lately. And that's okay. Right? But I would much rather you deliver a patch that is enjoyable for a longer period of time than deliver patches that are just kind of boring, right? And, I would say, 322, 321, they were small iterations on 319 and 320. And it wasn't as exciting as something like this would be. I'm totally fine with this. So I don't know how you guys feel. I see most people seem to not care much and just deliver something good. This looks pretty good. Again, don't expect any of this stuff. Like, the economy was not part of this. The one cohesive type card in this roadmap was reputation, and that is important to talk about here. Is that is one of those things that will eventually tie all these pieces together. Is reputation for sure will create progression, will create reasons to play. So that's what's so exciting to see in the cards, is the first step to one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. But the economy and complete reworks of weapons, ammo, armor, ships, components, and everything else is probably the real answer to these problems. And I don't see those happening anytime soon. So will this be a fun, each feature in a vacuum will be fun in of itself for a little while? Yes. But will they all tie together into one cohesive, really fun video game in 323? No. And that's okay. But because I want more patches like this that are feature full, that prove that they're fun, or, for example, like with structural salvage, prove that they're not. And it's like, time to go back to the drawing board, or time to fix a few things and make it better for the future. And then eventually tie it together when the economy can. Which we obviously know they're going through one step at a time to harden it so it can be a part of things. So I can't wait to see what the loot screen looks like, personally, and I can't wait to see what reputation feels like, and I cannot wait to do some cargo hauling missions, But yeah. Yes, persistent hangers are included in the update. So that was Roadmap Roundup.